My name is Elise Vinton. I'm 27. And 3 weeks before my wedding, my fiancé vanished. Not died, not canceled, not delayed. Just removed. From the plan. From the family. From the page. Thomas and I had been together for 4 years. He was clean, presentable, soft around the edges, what my mother would call camera-ready. "He makes you look composed," she said once. I smiled like that was a good thing. We were engaged for 14 months. I organized every detail myself, venue booked, dress tailored, seating chart confirmed, favors labeled. He showed up when asked, signed what I gave him, kissed my cheek and said, "I trust your taste." I took that as love. Then one Wednesday afternoon, he told me he needed a moment of silence before our final tasting, left his phone on the kitchen counter, didn't take the car, didn't come back. The first 2 hours, I waited. By midnight, I'd called twice. By morning, I'd called his office. They hadn't seen him in days. I filed a report. The officer didn't seem surprised. "It's not a crime to disappear," she said. "Most of them come back." Thomas didn't. I went to my parents expecting shock. I got silence. My mother poured tea. My father scrolled his tablet. "Maybe he panicked," she said, as if that made it acceptable. "You'll land on your feet," he added, like he was closing a meeting. No one offered to help. No one even asked how I was sleeping. So I canceled the wedding. Alone. I called vendors, apologized to guests, mailed refunds. I even took back the monogrammed napkins. I moved out of our shared apartment, packed the photos, donated the decor, left the ring on the sill, and then I disappeared too. New job, new zip code, 1-bedroom flat. No headlines, no drama. Just quiet. My family said I was lucky. "Better now than divorced later," they whispered like it was wisdom. But behind their tone was something else, like I had done something wrong. My sister said it outright. "You come on too strong," Anna told me, sipping rosé. "You always expect too much." I didn't argue. I just left. For 6 months, nothing happened. Then a plain white envelope arrived, forwarded from my old address. Inside, a postcard. Front, white sand, turquoise waves, palm trees bent like bows. One of the resorts Thomas and I used to talk about, the one we couldn't afford. I flipped it over. No note, just stamped foil text. "Congratulations to Anna and Thomas. Your forever starts here. Anna, my sister. Thomas, my missing fiancé." I didn't scream, didn't call, didn't ask why. I opened my laptop, logged into the joint wedding fund, the one I never fully closed. There it was. A venue refund. $18,000, deposited, then withdrawn. Recipient? Margaret Vinton. My mother. I didn't confront anyone, not my sister, not my mother, not even Thomas. Confrontation implies hope that something can be fixed. I wasn't interested in repair. I wanted inventory. The day after the postcard arrived, I printed the last 6 months of bank statements. The wedding account had been dormant, or so I thought, but there it was. 1 deposit, 1 withdrawal. The deposit, a refund from the venue. The date matched the day I canceled the ceremony. The withdrawal, 2 days later, processed online. The account was in my name. The recipient wasn't. Margaret Vinton. My mother. I stared at the transfer confirmation. No note, no memo. Just a simple routing to her personal checking account. It wasn't even disguised. I checked my own emails. Nothing. No alert. No fraud flag. Just a quiet shift of 5 figures out of my future and into hers. I called the bank pretending to be confused. Said I couldn't recall making the transfer. The rep said the transaction had been authorized through my linked email. An old account I hadn't used since the early planning stages of the wedding. An account my mother had access to once during invitation proofing. She never logged out. I requested a full log, downloaded the metadata, printed the timestamps. The IP address matched my parents' house. She hadn't even tried to hide it. I sat with that for a while. Not angry, not even surprised. Just cataloging. It wasn't the money. Not really. It was the ease, the entitlement, the assumption that I'd stay quiet, because I always had. I looked up the venue refund policy. The check had been issued in my name, which meant she'd forged the deposit slip, deposited it directly into her account, a minor crime, but only if you cared to prosecute. I didn't. Yet. Instead, I made a list. Not of revenge, of patterns. The moments that had once felt small, passive, forgettable. Like the time Anna crashed my scholarship dinner and somehow became the guest of honor, or the vacation I paid for, only to find out the hotel reserved the suite under her name, the family fundraiser where my father introduced her as the daughter with leadership potential, and introduced me as the one who handles decorations. It had always been like this, but this time they touched something measurable, traceable, financial. This time they left a paper trail. I gathered documents for 3 days, canceled everything tied to my old email, froze the joint account, ordered a second copy of the wedding contract, filed the original dress invoice, took photos of everything just in case. Then I wrote a letter. Short, polite, just a question, really. Dear Mom, I noticed a transaction from the wedding refund to your account. Just confirming you meant to deposit it on my behalf? Thanks, Elise. She replied within the hour. Elise, you didn't need that money anymore. I assumed it was fine. I covered Anna's honeymoon deposit. You're not planning a wedding now, right? Let's not make this ugly. That was the first time she admitted it. Not apologized. Admitted. I archived the email. Then I ordered a burner phone. Not because I had something to hide, because I was done being watched. The burner phone was a formality. My real work happened offline. I kept a paper ledger. Spiral-bound, matte black cover, no labels. I used blue ink for facts, red for questions, and green for anything that could eventually be used in court. It wasn't a strategy yet, just a habit, a quiet audit of my life. The first entries were obvious: wedding expenses, $1,500, save the dates, $3,800, dress deposit, $6,000, venue hold, $2,400, catering deposit, $2,100, photographer retainer. None of it refundable, all of it mine. The $18,000 venue refund was the exception, and that's why it mattered, because it proved someone else was watching, calculating, waiting for the chance to take. Not just forget, take. After that, I reviewed shared accounts, old family gift pools, logged into the wellness retreat platform where I once bought Anna a recovery weekend for her work burnout. I remembered how grateful she'd been, how she said no one else noticed when she was struggling. I found the receipt, billed to me, registered to her fiancé's email. He'd gone alone. I checked my father's birthday gift from 3 years ago, an expensive smartwatch delivered to their door. I'd split it with Anna, or so I thought. My credit card was charged for the full amount. She'd sent a Venmo request for half, then canceled it. The kind of thing you only find if you go looking. I did. I went looking for everything: flight confirmations, Airbnb receipts, joint subscriptions that never got split, doctor visits I covered when Mom's insurance was complicated. The total kept growing. In 31 months, I had absorbed $42,700 of their lives. That didn't include the hours, the dinners I cooked, the weekends I gave up to house sit, the 4 weeks I spent managing our grandmother's hospice schedule because Anna couldn't take the smell. All that time, I thought I was the reliable one. Now I understood. I was the convenient one. Even my therapist had missed it. She once told me I had a high tolerance for imbalance. That's how she phrased it. Not neglect, not exploitation. Imbalance. As if it were a yoga pose. I took a break after the fourth night, ordered takeout, sat on the floor with my laptop and opened Anna's wedding registry. It was still live. The wish list read like a parody: custom champagne flutes, monogrammed towels, an espresso machine that cost more than a month's rent. I scrolled through the purchased items. My mother's name appeared 12 times, my father's 7, mine 0. I hadn't been invited. They didn't even send a courtesy email. I refreshed the page and noticed something new. A thank you photo album had been uploaded. Publicly. Dozens of glossy, professional pictures. Anna in white, Thomas in pale gray, their smiles too perfect. One photo caught my eye. A close-up of Anna holding her bouquet. Her bracelet shimmered against the lace. It was mine. A delicate silver chain my grandmother had left me in her will. I had lent it to my mother once, for a charity gala. It had never come back. Anna wore it like it belonged to her. I closed the browser, turned off the lights, and in the dark I made a list of names. Not enemies. Witnesses. People who would remember the details, who sat where at which dinner, who knew what when, who was in on the silence. It wasn't about revenge. Not yet. It was about control, the kind they thought I never had. Anna was always better in photos than in person. That wasn't bitterness. It was a fact. In person, she fidgeted, talked too loud, played with her hair between sentences like she was editing herself in real time. But online, she was seamless. Her Instagram had over 28,000 followers. She called herself a lifestyle strategist. The bio read, "Helping women design intentional joy." She posted twice a day, clean lighting, pastels, matcha in curved glass mugs. She never once mentioned me. I followed from a private account. No name, no followers, no posts. She accepted the request. That's the thing about people like Anna. They measure love in applause. She never thought to vet who was clapping. I started small, watching, taking notes. Every detail she curated for admiration. I logged. The apartment tour video she filmed in her newlywed nest. It was my couch in the background. I recognized the worn seam from where the rescue cat we fostered once scratched. The rosemary she clipped in her homegrown kitchen routine. That planter had been my engagement gift from a vendor client. A handmade ceramic from Italy. She never even asked. And then the captions. Wedding planning tip: only surround yourself with people who want the best for you. That one nearly made me laugh. She tagged a boutique account in the caption. I clicked through, recognized the floral robes in their bridal package. It was the same vendor I had booked for my bachelorette weekend. The invoice still lived in my old email. I checked. Paid in full. I wasn't invited to the rebooking. She'd repurposed every detail of my wedding, every deposit, every vendor relationship, every carefully crafted aesthetic, into her own narrative. And they let her. No one corrected it. No one reached out, including Thomas. His LinkedIn still listed him as on sabbatical. His last post was a quote about bravery in new beginnings. No mention of a wife, no photos, just absence wrapped in vague wisdom. I cross-referenced the timeline. He disappeared on a Wednesday. They married 4 months later. The location matched our original venue. That detail hit different, not because I wanted it, but because I chose it. I'd spent weeks narrowing that list, visiting properties, comparing catering samples, negotiating off-season rates, and she used it like it was hers, like I was never part of it. My mother reposted every photo, captioned them, Our golden girl. So proud of you, Anna. I screenshotted each one, not for leverage, for proof. Proof that I didn't imagine it. Proof that this had never been a misunderstanding. That I wasn't collateral. I was the donor. And they were thriving on the parts I left behind. That was when the shift began. Not rage, not grief, just clarity. They thought the story was over. I was about to write my part. I didn't start by attacking them. I started by cleaning up. Every morning at 5:30, I woke up, made tea, and opened my notebook. I had 3 pens, green for ideas, red for risks, blue for anything they owed me. No emotion, just facts. First, I cut all ties. I closed our old joint accounts. I checked for any emails, subscriptions, or delivery addresses that still linked me to Thomas or Anna. They never noticed. They even kept using the Spotify account I set up years ago. I changed the password, then I started watching them. Anna's website listed some of the vendors I had hired for my own wedding, the same vendors she rebooked under her name. One of them was a paper company we used for save-the-date cards. I sent them a message under a fake name asking if they'd worked with anyone in the Vinton family. They replied cheerfully, "Yes, Anna Vinton referred us. Her sister paid the first deposit, so we just updated the contact later." They attached the receipt. It had my name on it. $1,050. Paid by me. Credited to Anna. I added that to my folder. I didn't want to sue, yet. But I needed proof. Because people like them lie without blinking. They rewrite the story while you're still bleeding. So I kept the receipts. Next, I found Anna's latest Instagram ad. She was promoting a herbal tea, claiming it cured her skin problems. She didn't say it was an ad. She didn't include a medical disclaimer. That's illegal. I took a screenshot and sent it to the company's report misuse email. I quoted her own caption, "This tea cleared my hormonal acne in 2 weeks." The company deleted the post 2 days later. That night, Anna posted a crying selfie with the caption, "Some people just want to destroy what they don't understand." I saved that too. She didn't know who hit her. That's how I wanted it. You don't break a building by kicking the door. You pull out the pieces underneath, quietly, until it falls on its own. By the second month, I had a full map. The wedding funds, the refunds, the tax games, even a copy of the venue's rental schedule showing that they used my booking without telling the venue the truth. Then I did something riskier. My mother had once asked me to scan her business receipts for tax season. I still had copies. I used her name and email to book a fake tax consultation. The reply I got back said, "This email is registered with the SBA for grant-funded programs." That surprised me. I looked deeper and found my mother had started a women's coaching business. It was funded by a federal grant. She called it Family Futures. The website used a childhood photo of Anna and me. But only Anna was mentioned. In one blog post, my mother wrote, "I raised 2 daughters, 1 wounded, 1 wise." She didn't say which one I was, but I knew. So I downloaded every blog post, every invoice, every quote, and every funding record tied to her business, and I started sending reports, not all at once, not from one email, little by little, to the IRS, to the grant office, to consumer protection websites, not to get revenge, but to hold up a mirror. They wanted to live off my silence. I was done being quiet. It started quietly, not with a bang, but a delay, a silence that made them nervous. The first sign came from Anna's end. She posted about her digital detox, saying she needed time to reflect. I knew better. It wasn't reflection. It was retreat. Because her brand sponsor had dropped her, because her email inbox was full of, "We need to discuss your recent post," because someone reported her for false medical claims. Me. Then my mother started getting anxious calls. Her new coaching website, which had been active for over a year, was taken offline for review. That's what happens when someone reports misuse of federal grant money. Someone had flagged her for copying receipts, double counting hours, and using photos without consent. That someone was me. She called Anna first. I know because Anna posted a photo of her phone with the caption, "Family emergency, please give me space." Their panic was private, for now. But I knew the storm was coming. I kept watching. One of Anna's beauty brand deals disappeared quietly. No public statement, just gone. Another influencer posted a subtle dig. Some people fake wellness to hide how rotten their core is. Anna didn't respond. Then 2 weeks later, she deleted 6 months' worth of content. I didn't stop there. I sent the wedding venue a tip. I told them, anonymously, that the event they hosted under Anna Vinton's name was not properly licensed. I attached the dual booking records. They opened an investigation. Then I forwarded that same information to a wedding blog that once featured their photos as a dream ceremony. The article was taken down in less than 12 hours. Then came the call from the IRS, not to me, to my mother. They requested a clarification meeting about her nonprofit tax status. She posted a quote later that day. "When they can't control you, they try to ruin your name." It wasn't her name I was after. It was her silence, her entitlement, her willingness to watch me burn and say I lit the match. The best part? None of them knew it was me. They thought it was random. Bad luck, haters, algorithms, cancel culture. I let them think that, because true collapse doesn't come when your enemy hits you. It comes when the ground you built your lies on turns to sand, and you don't know why. The message came on a Tuesday, a simple email. Subject, "Can we talk?" Signed, Anna. No emojis, no exclamation points, just a name I hadn't seen in my inbox for almost a year. I didn't respond. 12 hours later, she called. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. And again. By the third call, I muted the number. That same night, my mother sent a long text. "I know you're hurting, but you're not the only one who's had a hard year. I think it's time we spoke, face to face. This family has suffered enough." No apology, no explanation, just a gentle request, like I was the one holding them hostage. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the message and added it to my folder, alongside all the others. 3 days later, they showed up, at my work. I saw them through the front window, Anna first, then my mother behind her, walking like they hadn't spent the last year pretending I didn't exist. I asked the receptionist to tell them I was in a meeting. They waited for 47 minutes. Then they left a letter with the front desk. It was handwritten, sloppy, emotional. Anna wrote, "I didn't know what he was doing. I swear, Elise. He told me you left him, that you had cheated, that you were unstable. He said your parents didn't want you involved in the wedding anymore. I believed him. I'm sorry. Please let me explain." She included a printed screenshot of a message from Thomas dated months before the wedding. It said, "Don't worry, Anna. I'll handle Elise. She's just dramatic. She'll thank us later." That didn't make it better. It made it worse, because it meant they all lied. Together, one after another, like passing a match through a hallway full of curtains and pretending not to see the flames. Still, I said nothing. 1 week later, my mother left a voicemail. "I'm sorry, Elise. I should have asked questions. I thought you were always so strong. I thought you'd move on. But now everything's falling apart. I don't know what to do. Please, just tell me what you want." That was the first time I heard fear in her voice, not regret. Fear. And I realized something, They hadn't come back because they missed me. They came back because they lost control, because their picture-perfect lives were cracking, and I was the one holding the chisel. They thought I wanted an apology. I didn't. I wanted distance. I wanted silence. I wanted them to feel exactly what I felt. Unseen, unheard, unbelieved. So I made a final decision. I didn't block their numbers. I didn't reply. I simply archived every message they sent. I kept the folder. And I moved on, quietly, with no revenge left to take, because it had already happened. They had to live with each other now, and with what they did to me. I changed nothing about my routine. Still woke at 6, still walked to work, still carried my coffee in the same chipped mug I'd had for years. But something inside me had shifted. Not joy, not forgiveness, just weight. Gone. The first real echo came in a meeting. My boss asked if I wanted to present the next design proposal. I said yes without thinking. No stutter, no shrinking. The old me would have hesitated, would have waited for someone else to take the spotlight. Now, I took it. Then came the second echo. A vendor I used to work with, one of the florists I booked for the wedding that never was, reached out, said she remembered how I organized everything with calm precision, even under pressure. She wanted help redesigning her storefront, said I had an eye for repair. That phrase stayed with me, because that's what I'd been doing, not just surviving, repairing. The third echo came when I saw Anna again, not in person, in a sponsored post. She was back on Instagram, but everything was softer now, filtered differently. The captions no longer shouted, they begged. "Sometimes your worst mistakes become your best teachers," she wrote. No names mentioned, no story told, just enough to keep the followers curious. The comments weren't kind. Some still believed her, most didn't. She looked thinner, smaller somehow, like a woman trying to fit into a story that no longer belonged to her. I didn't engage. I didn't watch the whole video, just enough to understand that whatever shine she once had, it had dulled, and she knew it. Then came my mother, not in a call, in a news brief. Her nonprofit had shut down. Quietly. Pending investigation was the official phrase. No charges, no headline scandal, just disappearance. I clipped the article, didn't save it. I didn't need it anymore. They had unraveled themselves. All I did was stop holding the thread, and that, I learned, was the real power. It arrived in a manila envelope. No sender, just my name in typewriter font, centered, no return address, no stamps, dropped off by hand. Inside was a single sheet, a handwritten letter, formal, clipped, dated 6 weeks earlier. It was from my grandmother's lawyer, not my mother's mother, my father's, Marion Vinton, the one who used to braid my hair and whisper, "You're not like them." The one they stopped inviting to holidays because she made everything heavy. I hadn't seen her since I left town. The letter said she had passed in February, quietly, in her sleep. The funeral had already happened, private, per her wishes. I sat in silence for a long time before reading the second line. Ms. Elise Vinton is the sole beneficiary of the estate of Marion L. Vinton. I blinked. It wasn't much, just a small property 2 towns over, a bank account with modest savings, and a box. The lawyer delivered it to me personally. The box was wooden, hand-carved, unlocked. Inside, a folded quilt, 2 photographs, and a note in Marion's handwriting. "You were always the quiet one, the listener, the keeper. You never needed to be loud to be right. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from them, but I always saw you." That's when I cried. Not when Thomas vanished. Not when Anna smiled in the photo. Not when my mother used my money to fund their dream wedding. Here, with a box of folded fabric and a truth I had always hoped was real. She knew. She saw. And even if no one else ever said it, she had chosen me. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't victory. It was recognition, the kind I stopped expecting, the kind I no longer needed. But still, it mattered. I didn't tell anyone I was back. No announcement, no confrontation, just a quiet move into a small flat near the edge of town, new keys, new coffee shop, new silence. Anna emailed twice, then 3 more times, apologies, then explanations, then, "Can we talk?" I didn't answer, not out of cruelty, just clarity. I didn't need a reason anymore. They gave me enough. Thomas never reached out. But I saw him, once. At an open house I helped stage. He was with a client, saw me across the room. "Hi, Elise," he said, unsure. I looked him in the eye. "Do I know you?" His mouth opened, then closed. He turned and left. That was all. I walked home under quiet skies, poured wine, lit a candle, opened the quilt my grandmother left me. Inside, stitched by hand. Not loud, not cruel, just done. And I was. No rage, no flames, just done.